Hello everyone. Last class we have discussed about what is a posture and what are the elements that are responsible for a good posture and how the posture is maintained and how the posture is controlled. So in that we have discussed about what are the basic structures which are contributing to the integrity of postural system. In that we have CNS, visual system, vestibular and musculoskeletal system. And as I said earlier, central nervous system is composed of brain, spinal cord, all the peripheral nerves, and the receptors which are present in the joint, ligaments, muscles, tendon, and in the skin. So all these receptors collect the information from the surroundings, and it will send to the brain to process the data and to obtain the necessary actions which help to maintain this proper posture. And second one is visual system, how our vision is affecting this postural system. So if you have any visual deficits or if you have any problems with the vision, it can affect the posture, because eyes is the one which helps us to assess the surroundings and assess the environment and to adapt the appropriate strategies in response to and disturbing forces to the equilibrium system in posture. So visual system is also important. And next is vestibular system. All the semicircular canals which are present in the inner ear are responsible for to maintain a three-dimensional orientation of our human body in the space. So if there is any problem with this vestibular system or with the semicircular canals, it can affect the posture. And next is normal musculoskeletal system, integrity of musculoskeletal system. That means the power and the musculoskeletal arrangements are also responsible for maintaining a normal posture. So today we are going to see, or today we are going to look into what will happen if there is any problem with these inputs or the outputs. Input means the information which we are, or the information which are collected by the receptors from the surroundings and which is sent to the brain. So the outputs are the commands which the brain gives to maintain a proper posture. So today we are going to looking about what will happen if there is any deficit with the inputs, that means the information which are collected from the environment by the help of receptors which is sent to the brain, and the outputs, the commands which the brain gives to the structures to maintain a proper posture. So we will be looking into that. Alteration or absence of inputs may occur from many reasons, including among others the absence of the normal gravitational force in weightless condition during space or decreased sensation in the lower extremities. So as I said earlier, the central nervous system is consists of the brain, spinal cord, peripheral nerve and the receptors. So the receptors are the one which is sensing the surrounding sensations or surrounding surfaces. So if you are standing in an even surface, what will happen? The receptors which are present in our feet sense what are the hurdles which may face in that particular surface, and it will send the impulse to the brain, and it will give and it will command for its proper action to maintain that posture. And if you step into an uneven surface, again the feet receptor, the receptors which are present in the feet will sense that uneven surface, and it will send the information to the brain that there are some uneven surface. So according to that, the brain will take its action to maintain a proper posture. So if there is any disease or if there is any disorders which limits the action of receptors, or which disturb the action of receptors, can have some posture abnormality, because we are not getting a proper, or the brain is not getting a proper input to maintain this posture or to give a proper output. So the input itself has some problem. That means in case of any disease that we'll call as a motor neuron diseases, or we'll call the syphilis is a condition which will result in a condition called as tabes dorsalis. So this tabes dorsalis is a congenital deformity or the deformity to the posterior columns in the spinal column. So the posterior columns are mainly the carriers of proprioceptors. So in that case, the proprioception, that means the position of joints are lost, or the ability of the brain to sense the position of brain is lost in case of stapes dorsalis, mainly because of this posterior column involvement. So in that case, there is no proper inputs to the brain. So the brain is not able to go for a proper command or proper output, or the brain is not able to detect what is the deformity. So in those patients, or the patient with syphilis, which is result in tabes dorsalis, may result in some kind of loss of proprioception. That means the patient is not able to know, or the patient is not able to predict the position of joint, or the position of joint in space is not accurate for those patients, though. So that can happen. And in some other conditions are the gravity free surfaces. That means in the space travelers, they feel some instability because the gravitation force is also the one which will have some impact on this human body. So all these decreased sensation environments have some impact on this posture. So that means the inputs are not proper. So when the inputs are not normal, there won't be any proper outputs, so that can disturb the posture. A disturbance in kinetic sense about the angle and foot after ankle sprains have been implicated as a case of poor balance or loss of stability. So many people are experiencing this ankle sprain, or we call as an ankle twist. So because of this ankle twist, or because of the pathological events which are followed by this ankle twist, there can be chances of getting reduced proprioception, that means, or the kinesthesia. That means the patient is not able to have a proper sense of his angle. So it will give some posture instability, or the patient will lose a balance or the dynamic balance, and the patient will have a frequent angle instabilities. So that's the importance of receptors in the posture controlling system. So receptors are mainly acting as an input system to collect the information about the surroundings and which sent to the brain, and the brain is the one which is taking action or the command or the output to maintain this proper posture. So all the inputs which are collected from the surroundings has an effect on posture. So any abnormalities in the sensory receptors, or the sensations, or the carrying nerves, or the neurons, all the structures which are participated in this input area will result in postural abnormalities. A person's ability to maintain erect posture may be affected by altered output such as inability of the muscles to respond appropriately to the signals from the central nervous system. So first one we said about inputs, whether the inputs are affecting you or not. As we have seen, the inputs or the input systems are responsible for maintaining a proper posture. And at the same time, there is an output system. So this output system is also responsible for maintaining a proper posture. That means if there is no problem with the sensory receptors or the neurons or the spinal cord which is carrying this input to the brain, and if there is any problem with the output section, that means the brain will command particular muscle actions to maintain that posture. And if the muscles are not able to carry out that function due to any problem, the balance or the posture control can be affected. That means if there is any motor neuron disease, that means the disease which are affecting the motor neuron system, that means the muscles, the junction between muscles, the disease which are affecting the muscles and the nervous system. So in that case, the muscles are not able to produce the enough force which needs to maintain this proper posture. So in that case also, this posture can be changed, and it can result in postural abnormalities. So the output system, that means the brain will command something, the neuron will pick up those commands, and it will take to the muscles. But when it comes to the muscles are not able to respond adequately to maintain that particular, or to carry out that particular function. In that case, the output systems are in danger or the output system are not proper as like an input system. So in that case also there can be some postural abnormalities. In persons with neuromuscular disorders, both agonist and antagonist may respond at the same time, thus reducing the effectiveness of response. So this is another scenario. So in this scenario, what will happen? There are some motor neuron disease, something like a myasthenia gravis or a Parkinson's disease. All this, the myasthenia gravis, and these are the diseases which are altering the functions of neuromuscular junction. In that case, the agonist and antagonist muscles are working together, or they are not working in a complicated way to carry out the particular functions. So those cases also will result in some postural abnormalities. So as we said, as we seen earlier, if you want to maintain a proper erect posture, the agonist and antagonist has to work in such a way that there is a proper tone which are maintained both in agonist and antagonist, and there should be some kind of relaxation in case of some required movements. So if there is any neuromuscular disorders or any disorder with the muscular system can affect this normal balance between agonist and antagonist, and it will result in some abnormal posture or some implications to the postural control. Next, we are going to see what are the muscle synergies, or what are the group of activation of muscles in response to some abnormal postural changes. The involuntary reactive or compensatory postural response to perturbations caused by either platform movement or by the pushes of pull are either synergies or strategies. So basically, what is synergy? If there is a person standing in an even surface, and there can be two type of forces which can change his normal posture. First one is if there is any changes with the platform where he is standing. As we have seen earlier, the bus scenario. In the bus scenario, what's happening? The person is not changing in his standing position, but the platform which he is standing has some movements. So that's the first scenario. And second one is if there is a stable platform and there are some push or pull to the body from the environment. That means if a person standing and another person is pulling or pushing that person to change the posture control. So those are the two scenarios which can have some impact on this posture control. So what are the muscle synergies? In those two situations, there are some pattern of muscle activation to maintain the particular posture. So when it comes to strategies, we have three kind of strategies. First one is fixed sub strategies. Second one is change in support strategies, and head stabilizing strategies. In fixed support strategies, first one is ankle synergy and second one is hip synergy. So first is fixed support synergy. So what is the fixed support synergies? Fixed support synergies are patterns of muscle activity in which the base of support remains fixed during the perturbation and recovery of equilibrium. Stability is regained through movements of body parts, but the feet remain in the fixed base of support. In fixed support synergy, basically, if you are standing, our ankles or the feet are not changing from the platform. The feet or the foot are fixed in the platform, and there are some muscle activations to cope up with this disturbing forces to maintain posture. So in that, the examples are ankle synergy and hip synergy. So in ankle synergy, what's happening? There will be a forward translation of support surface. That means the backward of body movement. Or there can be a backward translation of support surface and a forward body motion. And if there is any forces which has some effect on this posture, in ankle synergy, there are some patterns of muscles which are activating to maintain this particular posture. Always the muscles are acting in a pattern of distal to proximal. So first, the muscles which are distal to the body are activating first in angle synergy, and then the proximal muscles. And if there is a forward translation, that means if our body or the supporting surface is moving backward, the pattern of muscle activation are the tibialis anterior, quadriceps, abdominals. That means all the anterior compartment muscles of both leg, thigh and the abdomen will be activating first. That means the tibialis anterior, the muscles which are placed in front of the leg, will be activating first, and it will be followed by anterior thigh muscle group, that is quadriceps, and it will be followed by the abdominal muscles. So all the anterior compartment muscles will be activating in a case of forward translation. And if it in case of a backward translation, that means if the supporting surface is moving forward, all the posterior muscles will be acting from distal to proximal. That means first one, the gastrocnemius, the posterior muscle, the gastrocnemius will be activating, and it will be followed by hamstring and the paraspinal muscles or the extensors of spine. So that will happen in a backward translation. So in case of forward translation, all the anterior muscles will be activating in a pattern of distal to proximal. That means from distal, the tibialis anterior, quadriceps and the abdominal muscles. And if in case of backward translation, all the posterior muscles will be activating, starting with the gastrocnemius, hamstring and the spinal extensor or the paraspinal muscles. And next is hip strategies. So in angle strategy, what will happen? The muscles which are present in the ankles are the one which is primarily activating, which is followed by the proximal muscles. But in hip strategies, it has a opposite direction. That means it starts from proximal to the distal. So as we seen in earlier, there can be two kind of things, that is the forward translation and backward translation. But the only difference between angle strategy and hip strategies are, in angle strategy, the activation follows a pattern of distal to proximal. But in hip strategies, the activation of muscles are in a pattern of proximal to the distal. That means if there is a forward translation, as we seen in angle strategy, all the anterior muscles are activating, but the pattern of activating is different from the angle strategies. In hip strategy, from proximal to distal. That means first the abdominals will be activating, which is followed by quadriceps and will be followed by tibialis anterior. That means the direction of activation changes in hip strategy. From proximal to distal. So first one, the most proximal muscle, that the abdomen will be activating, abdominal muscles will be activating and will be followed by the quadriceps muscle and the tibialis anterior. And if there is a backward translation, same like in angle strategy, all the posterior muscles will be activating, but the pattern of activating is just opposite to the angle synergy. In backward translation, the most proximal muscle, that's the paraspinal muscles or the spinal extensor, will be activating first, which is followed by hamstring, and that is followed by the gastrocnemius. So these are the two strategies which can activate in a fixed support surface. So these are the these are the scenario which can happen in the fixed support. In this, the feet or the foot are fixed in the platform, and the platform is the one which is moving anterior forward. And in all those cases, the body will have some actions or the hip or ankle synergy to maintain this particular posture. And next one is change in support strategies. That means there will be some change in the supporting surfaces. The change in support strategies including stepping, forward, backward or sideways, and grasping. So as we seen earlier, the best scenario, and if there is a sudden break, if the bus goes for a sudden break, the first one which is acting either angular hip synergy. So the body itself will try to maintain this posture by the use of angle and hip synergy, and still it's not enough to maintain this particular posture, then we will be going for this change in support strategies. That means either we will step forward or backward or the sideways according to the forces which is acting on the surface. We will be stepping forward, backward or the sideways, or will grasp on the surrounding structures. That means we'll hold something to maintain our posture. So that's the change in support strategies. The change in support strategies include stepping forward, back. That means the direction of force, according to the direction of forces, we will be stepping either forward, backward, or sideways. Or we will be using grasping method to maintain the proper posture, using one's hand to grab a bar or other fixed support. In response to shift of basis support, that means if there is any change in basis support, we will be using any of these support. That means we are changing the supporting surfaces. So we'll step forward or sideways according to the force, or we will be grasping something. Stepping and grasping differ from stepping and grasping differ from fixed support strategies because stepping or grasping moves or enlarges the body's base of support so that it remains under the body's center of mass. So this is the difference between fixed support strategies and the change in support strategies. So in fixed support, the base of support is minimal. That means only foot are the base of support, and but in this case there can be some changes in base of support. So this will happen during change in support strategies. So either we'll step forward or we will be grasping something to maintain that proper posture or to avoid a fall. And next is head stabilizing strategies. The head stabilizing strategies are used to maintain the head during dynamic tasks such as walking, in contrast to ankle and hip strategies, which are used to maintain the body's static situation. So that means according to the angle or hip synergy, there should be some positioning of head to maintain the particular posture. So there are two kinds of postures. First one is head stabilization in space and head stabilization on trunk. So the head stabilization in space strategy is a modification of head position in anticipation of displacement of body center of gravity. The anticipatory adjustments of head positions are independent of trunk motion. So first one is that if there is a forward translation of body, automatically our head will be moving backward. So we will be adjusting the head to maintain that particular posture. So that means we will be having some head in space action to maintain the particular posture. Next is the head support on the trunk. It's a strategy is one which the head and trunk moves as a single unit. So first one, the head in space, that means we will be changing the position of only head to maintain that particular posture. So either we will be going for cervical extension or the sideways flexion or extension of head to maintain that particular posture. And in second one, both the head and the trunk will be acting together to making a proper posture. Either both the head and trunk will be going for extension or in a flexion or in a side flexion movement to maintain the posture.